Hello again, college football fans. It is Tuesday, October 19th, 2021. I'm coming at you with the Week 8 predictions. And to start off, just the overall national landscape right now. The media wants so badly for things to be weird and wonky, but it's just looking more and more like it's going to be some combination of Alabama, Georgia, Ohio State, and Oklahoma. Three of those teams are, looking very, very likely at this point. And then there'll be another, patsy that's thrown in there, maybe, that will just get destroyed by someone very promptly. Whether that's Cincinnati or whether that's, a Wake Forest team manages to stay undefeated, which it seems, the rapture seems much more likely in about 5 minutes than Wake Forest going undefeated. But, those are the only scenarios that are still around. It's like I said, it's just looking more and more like the usual suspects are kind of circling the wagons a little bit now. My money, I said it earlier, I think Ohio State looks like they're in the best position right now because their offense looks really, really formidable, and that's a must. Moving on with predictions, and back to Cincinnati, I feel like they're a Notre Dame loss away from not even being in the discussion. As long as Notre Dame's only loss is Cincinnati, then we have to keep talking about them until at least the very end of the season after everything's said and done. But because they're legitimately in the discussion, it's not just media creation to try to drum up some parody or drum up some suspense. They have a legit shot right now, and it's like I said, Notre Dame is the big key for them. I don't see anybody else. I mean, Southern Methodist could knock them off, but anybody else, if they're a legit playoff contender, they'll be able to handle everybody else on their schedule with no problem. And then we'll have a discussion to have if Notre Dame is their only loss, or if Cincinnati is Notre Dame's only loss. But like I said, I feel like they're hanging on by the Notre Dame thread, and we'll just have to continue to monitor that and see how that goes ahead here in the 2021 season. But as far as predictions go, I'll start off with my big national upset that I'll never get right. I'm going to doom whoever I pick to win, and this week the honor goes to Northwestern, going in there to Ann Arbor, and because you just know that they're a disappointment just waiting to happen in Ann Arbor. And if it doesn't happen this week, obviously, they've got tougher competition coming up ahead that's definitely going to expose them for what they are, which is just another, they're in that Iowa, Penn State, Michigan State, more than likely. The book is still out on them. But they just look like a good, solid Big Ten team that's just waiting to get exposed by either an elite Ohio State team or, it probably wouldn't even take Ohio State to beat Michigan, and that's why I'm picking Northwestern to pull that upset this week. And that'd be a big one too. That's like a 23-point underdog right now, so that would be a huge upset and a big feather in my cap. But like I said, I haven't had a lot of luck with that so far. Pick big ones, It's not like I'm trying to just get the 2-point underdog or anything. So we'll see how that goes. Now back to the league, back to the big one. Alabama in Tennessee, in Tuscaloosa, the third Saturday in October. It's got a lot more surrounding it this year than it has in quite some time. I believe it was one of the Butch Jones Tennessee teams that pushed us. They had a good record that year, and they pushed us to the end of that ball game, and it took, that might have been 2016 or 2015, because I know Jonathan Allen was involved in that last play where Alabama I think it was Joshua Dobbs at quarterback maybe, and they had a chance to drive at the end to win the ball game, and they got the ball in their own territory. And all you diehard Bama fans remember we rushed in there, knocked the ball out of his hands, and it was intercepted by the defense, and that was the end of that little threat. And that's as close as Tennessee has come to beating Alabama, aside from the Lane Kiffin 2009 third Saturday. Ever since Saban has arrived. And But going into this one, Tennessee definitely has a different attitude. And after the disgrace last week in Knoxville, I'm very annoyed by the pearl clutching that I see surrounding that whole thing. I feel like that was the coolest thing that's happened in Knoxville in a decade. And this Tennessee fan base and the Vol Nation, the Vol Navy, like they like to call themselves, seem more awake now than they have been in quite a while. And that being said, I would be normally a little nervous about this kind of a game, but since Alabama is sort of on their prove it tour after the Texas A&M loss, I don't see Tennessee being able to put up too much of a fight in Tuscaloosa. Now, next year in Knoxville, if the trajectory that Tennessee's on right now has continued, I'm going to be terrified about that game. But I just think that this year they don't have quite the depth yet, certainly on the lines, to push us very far. I wouldn't be surprised if they make this an interesting game for a half. But like I said, Alabama's got laser vision right now. I would like to see the tight ends. I mean, obviously the offense is where we have the room to improve. I'm not saying that there's no room for improvement for the defense, but the defense is what it is. I just don't see it changing a whole lot, and it'll just depend on how focused those guys are on that side of the ball. The real project is on the offensive side of the ball. That's the continuity and the chemistry that the O-line is able to get, and obviously Bryce Young is racking up experience week after week after week, and he should continue to improve. But the thing that's been worrisome to me, not worrisome, but not the thing that's been lacking that looked like it was going to be a big strength for us, has been the tight ends. I don't even know if he looked at the tight. I know he threw it to Latu at least once in the Mississippi State game, but I didn't see a whole lot of targets to tight ends after they dropped so many in the A&M game, and I would like to see that trust between them and Bryce reestablished this week. And so look for that. And I believe Alabama will come in here. Obviously, they're going to score on their first possession. That's almost an inevitability at this point. But then I see Tennessee bowing up and not allowing another touchdown for the rest of the first quarter. And I think that the Tennessee defense will be able to maintain that level of intensity into the second quarter. But then the wave of Alabama talent is going to take over at that point, and I imagine that there'll be an offensive touchdown and maybe a defensive or special teams touchdown at that point. Tennessee, with their running game early, and sometime in the first quarter, maybe the early part of the second quarter, they'll be able to find the end zone. So I'm thinking that the halftime score is going to be 21-7. And then Alabama will come out in the third quarter ready to take care of business, and they'll not allow any points from Tennessee in the third quarter. Alabama will score 14 themselves, making it 35. I don't see any field goal attempts in this game for some reason. I'm just not feeling it. 35-7 going into fourth quarter, and then Alabama will get an exclamation point touchdown, 42-7. And then I imagine a garbage touchdown will be allowed. So 42-14 is going to be my pick for the third Saturday in October, Alabama over Tennessee, and it should be exciting atmosphere either way. Moving on to the league, we got some teams that are taking off this week, so we only have 5 games to talk about. The first one, Arkansas Pine Bluff at Arkansas. Not even going to talk about it. Arkansas should handle their business pretty easily in that one. LSU at Ole Miss, and this was the first week after the official public announcement of Ed Orgeron's firing at Red Stick. So I expect this to be an offensive shootout. Ole Miss has no defense to speak of, and it's just going to be kind of what they've done all year, which is just, if they win, they manage to outscore their opponent. Like they did Arkansas, like they did Tennessee. The defense played the best game of the season against Tennessee. The goings on of the actual football game in that one have kind of got lost in the shuffle. But Matt Corral put on a show, especially with his legs in that one. So I expect Ole Miss to be able to outscore LSU. It's going to be a high-scoring affair. 45-31 Ole Miss. in that one. Mississippi State at Vanderbilt. Great opportunity for Mike Leach and the Bulldogs of Stark Vegas to get healthy and get well and put another win in that W column for them. And they shouldn't have too many problems with Vanderbilt. Even though it is in Nashville, that's not really a home field advantage the way we normally think of those. So I'm picking Mississippi State should be able to score the most points that they've scored on any conference team this year. I think they'll get to 35, and I think Vanderbilt will manage to find the end zone two times, and they'll get a field goal as well. So that's 35-17 Mississippi State, and that one is my prediction. And then the last game, South Carolina at Texas A&M. Seems to me like Texas A&M definitely has hit their stride and found themselves after beating Alabama, and they should not have any trouble in their place against South Carolina. South Carolina, I think they have the potential to get one more win. They've got one more winnable game on their schedule, and that'll put them at 5. I just don't think they're going to be able to get to a bowl this year. That would have been amazing for Shane Beamer if he had been able to do that with these Gamecocks. But I don't think that 5 is anything to be ashamed of. But obviously, we'll be able to tell more next season as to whether or not Shane Beamer is going to be able to make enough noise to have any significant length in his tenure at Texas A&M. So we, after a couple of weeks of an amazing slate of games, kind of taking a little bit of a step back. When your game of the week is Tennessee at Alabama, you know that's not a blockbuster week, but we're still going to enjoy ourselves, and we've got a lot of good games nationally to watch and to pay attention to, and a lot of storylines. I'm interested to see how that quarterback at Oklahoma is going to continue to look. I feel like he's gotten a very, very healthy helping of love early in his tenure there, so we'll see how he handles all of that adulation. And I am planning on making maybe one more video before the weekend, but if not, we will certainly see you after the games have been played on Sunday, and I hope you enjoy the rest of yours. Thank you.